All right, everyone, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be breaking down this 4-game slate that we have. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, guys, we are going to start out here with the early game. We got Philadelphia versus Memphis, and I think this is actually going to be the most appealing game on the slate. We do have another game, Boston versus Utah. That's going to be pretty high scoring that we could also look at as well. But for Memphis, I do think we could potentially be getting some pretty solid values. We know that Zach Edey is out. Jock Landale could end up sitting as well, guys. He is currently listed as questionable, and so if he sits, that is going to create some more value. But we do know that Vince Williams is out as well as KCP. So we are getting some potential good value here. Do you want to call it GG Jackson, though? He is someone that would be pretty interesting to me if Jock Landale ends up sitting. We do notice that over the last several games, 21, 22, and 30 minutes. And so if Landale ends up sitting, I do think we could be looking at him to be, a decent value for us, kind of getting close to 20 DFS points. And so that is a play that I think we'd be getting to more so once that news comes out. And that's kind of the appealing part about this game, is that could be one of the crucial plays on the slate, and we're going to get that news prior to lineup lock. It is an interesting slate, though, with a lot of the games being very much spaced out. 7, 8, 9:30, and then 10. Okay, there's a lot of time slots there, which does make lineup process a little bit more difficult. Now, when we look at the players that are going to benefit with those players being out, minutes-wise, Aldama, Cam Spencer's a little bit interesting, Jaren Jackson, and then no one else too much from there. And so from there, guys, let's just jump into the DraftKings cheat sheet and sort of by value. I do like Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he is actually going to be a strong play. If he ends up getting more than 31 minutes, which is what we haven't projected to get, he is solid. Aldama, I also think, is solid as well. This is a close game, guys. 1.4 spread, 232.5, so kind of appealing there. I kind of like getting to Aldama and Jaren Jackson most, and again, GG Jackson as well. So the plays that we'd be looking at, guys, just to keep it simple, we'll plug them in there, and then we can update this as we go. I'm going to put Aldama in the power forward or in the forward spot here. But then we also have GG, so let's actually just put him into the center spot. Again, this would be appealing if Landale ends up sitting. Now for Philly, guys, not necessarily much here that I love, just because I think everyone's properly priced, assuming that Embiid ends up playing. And the data is going to back that up as well. Like, no one's over 5x here. Projected fantasy points wise, no one's projected to be a slate breaker as well. And so I think we can just move on into the next game, which is going to be Boston versus Utah. Want to call it the 246.5 game total. That is extremely high scoring. Now, it is a 7.5 point spread in favor of Boston, which we do like. But if we take a peek here at the projected starting lineups, guys, and then injury report, Keontae George being questionable does concern me. If he were to end up sitting, this game has a higher chance of being a blowout. And so that'd be a concern to me. But when we look at the top plays here, guys, we are getting 3 players that are decent 5x values, and I like them all. I think Brown's going to be in for a good spot. I think White and Pritchard are both very appealing, and even Simons is not too bad of a play at 4.1. And so I think White is probably the safest play for Boston. I think we'd expect him to get to around 40 points. Brown as well. He's been someone that's been close to 50 points pretty consistently. So I'm kind of happy to get to both of those two for them. And then I don't know if I necessarily want to mess around too much with trying to get to like Payne and Pritchard, although he's fine. And then Simons as well. They're fine as well. I mean, we know Pritchard does have a ceiling. I just don't know if I necessarily want to chase that on the slate. So we'll get into Utah, guys. To me, guys, if George ends up sitting, that does actually create a couple of really good plays because Ace Bailey is still out. But either way, I think Isaiah Collier is going to be in play here, guys. He is coming in off of a poor game in his last game where he didn't really shoot the basketball all too much, but the minutes just weren't there. 15 minutes in that game against the Spurs, which we don't like. That is very much a concern. But other than that, he has been pretty productive. And if we look at it, guys, he is the best projected value that we have here in this game and one of the better values on the slate. Now, if he doesn't get there, Bryce Sensabaugh is going to be a little bit more appealing. And so that's something we got to pay attention to. Yusuf Nurkic, we do know that he is someone that can get there. He is projected for 27 minutes, kind of a point per minute player. I think he could actually end up getting more than what he's projected to get, but not necessarily a plug and play. So right now we're just looking at Collier, and I'm kind of happy to put him into the build right now. And then we got a decent amount of our lineup filled already, but we do have 2 more games left. We might be making some adjustments. So looking at Detroit versus the Lakers, guys, Austin Reeves is still out. And so really this slate comes down to, are you paying up for Luka or are you paying up elsewhere? Luka went for 58 points in the last game, DFS points, and that game was a blowout. And so that is a very big point of contention I want to call out, guys, because we look at this game here, and it is a game that has a 2.4 point spread. Okay, so that's good because we're assuming the game stays close. They're going to need Luka to have a good game still. That's what that is telling me. And so obviously if the game stays close, we could get Luka to closer to 38 minutes. And if he gets closer to 38 minutes, he goes for 70 in that game. Okay. So it's not necessarily a great matchup, but the decision is, are we paying up for like really Jaylen Brown or Luka? And that's kind of it. I don't really want to mess around with the bigs for the Lakers. I'll take a peek at what the cheat sheet's currently telling us right now, and we can see if we have any good plays here, but I don't know if we necessarily are. Yeah, no good plays here. So we'll jump into Detroit as well, guys. Detroit's a little bit different, but also I just don't feel like we need to get there. Like, I'm fine with Isaiah Stewart, projected for 28 minutes. He could end up getting less than that. He could end up getting, I don't think he's going to get more than that. I just don't want to mess with them that much. And so we'll jump on into the last game here. We'll start off with the Kings. The Kings are also a team where I just think the lines that we're getting on them, the prices that we're getting on them are just correct. And so there's just not much there. And then same thing with the Clippers for the most part. Now, James Harden and Kawhi, to me, are somewhat appealing. Brook Lopez is still projected for 27 minutes. So he'd be someone that would be appealing if he does get 27 minutes. But then again, so is like John Collins. We can mess around with him a little bit if he's going to get 28 minutes. And then Chris Dunn's a little bit in play as well. The issue that we have on the slate is we're just not really getting great value, right? So that's the tough part. That's where paying up for Luka becomes much more difficult. And that, to me, is where I am favoring that Boston versus Utah game and also the Memphis versus Philly game because we don't have to worry about jamming in the stud of Luka here. And then I don't hate the idea of getting to Kawhi. I kind of feel like we should get to him. I guess we'll get to Kawhi instead of Jaylen Brown. But if we're doing that, I feel like we should probably try to get to another guard for Boston, just chasing that high total game. But I don't know if we necessarily need to do that as well. So that's kind of the tough part. So let's see what we can make work here. Can we get to Pritchard? We could, but then it gets a little ugly. 3.9 left over. Yeah, I don't like that. After that, I mean, maybe Clifford, probably be the best option there. Not terrible. So this is kind of a first look build. This is what I'm seeing. But let's go ahead and see what the 9-to-5 lineup builder is telling us are going to be some of the top builds. And guys, this is early. This will change, but let's just take a peek. I'm just going to run it here. Nothing too crazy. Just see what it spits out to us as the top builds for this slate. And actually, for a 4-game slate, we are getting some pretty high scoring lineups here right now. So Kawhi and James Harden. We're insensible at Kata. I don't hate Kata. I think he's fine. Harris, I probably won't get to him that much, but kind of an interesting lineup there. That's the top build. Let's just see some of the exposures that we're getting to right now. Again, no filters were set. We're getting to a lot of Harden, a lot of Kawhi, Simons, Collier, Pritchard, which again, I think that makes sense. All these pretty much make sense. The one player I might bump up right now manually would be G.G. Jackson, just to ensure that we're getting to him. Again, if Landale plays, that play becomes less appealing. But guys, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Be on the lookout for the NFL coverage as well. I'll be dropping a video later today that'll be previewing the last week of the regular season, which is always typically a pretty fun week. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.